Welcome to the SportsBros podcast, featuring the Almighty B-Live, the Money Man, Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Kool. And without any further ado, here they are, the SportsBros. Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, Eddy Kool, a.k.a. the HOC, and guess what? Episode 55 of the Sports Bros podcast. What's the famous 55? It's Terrell Suggs, Junior Seau, White Chocolate Jason Williams. Yeah, it's quite a few famous 55s. And guess what? We got the whole band back together. First, I'm going to let him introduce himself, the Almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? I'm excited about this podcast, man. To have the Money Man back with us. He decided to take a little vacation, and I try to talk trash on his behalf. But you know what? Enough about me. I'm gonna go ahead. This will be a first for me. I'm actually not going to insult the man just yet. I'm gonna let him go ahead and get his introduction, and then we'll go from there. See what happens.
Yeah, that's gonna change about around the time we talk this your XFL thing. And back like bad breath in the morning, the Money Man, Scottie D.
Yes, who's back again. Money's back. Tell your friends.
Come on,
fellas. It is good to be back with you. I'm sorry I got mixed up the last couple of weeks. I thought when they were talking about the social distancing thing that it applied to cell phones and stuff too. So I got that cleared up, and I'm happy to be back talking with you guys again. Let's talk some sports, I guess, is what we're talking about. I mean, there hasn't been anything going on, but let's talk it up, buddy.
Sports stuff, sports related topics. That's what we're gonna talk about here at the Sports Bros podcast. And of course, just because there's no live games going on, there's still something in the world of sports to talk about. For example, the possibility of the NBA looking at a 25-day window to return to basketball. There's been no set date, but according to Brian Windhorst of ESPN, he said it would feature 11 days of individual workouts with social distancing measures in place, and 14 days of training camps before returning to games. Scottie D, this sounds like there may be some NBA basketball in the works?
Boy, I hope so. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of sounding like they're going to forgo the rest of the regular season. Is that what Windhorst was getting at? I think if you guys saw the same report I saw, it sounded like they were just going to try to do a couple weeks of a training camp to just get ready for the playoffs. Did you get that from the sense from that too, that the regular season was pretty much going to be already wrapped up?
I think I may have missed that information, but it's a possibility. They might just hop straight into the playoffs with that.
I don't think he outright said that, because I don't think he outright knows that. But this thing is a fluid situation, changing day by day. But if that's what it comes to, man, I think at that point I would be so ecstatic to watch organized sports again that I would take just a playoff. The NBA, what they missed about a month, I think the final month of the season, they were through most of the season anyway. I think if that's what it takes to get it on, let's do it, man. I at this point, I heard Windhorst say that Adam Silver was telling anyone, if you got any suggestions, we'll take them. Just to try to figure out what the best possible course of action would be to get back out there. And I'm not going to be criticizing if they're going to do only playoffs, or if they decide to do like an abbreviated 1 week or two season, cram a couple. I don't care, man. Just get back out there whenever it's time. I enjoyed the horse thing to an extent. I know that's kind of an ongoing thing. I watched Sunday night some of the horse stuff, but boy, I just want to see some real camera action. Watching all these people on TV through camera phones and iPads and stuff it's a little nerve-wracking. But kudos to the NBA for trying to do that anyway. Just to reach out and connect with their fans, and however they decide to do it, I'm good. What do you think there, B Live?
Well, I mean, everything's still very uncertain, but the the process, the fact that they're putting plans in action, that they're working on something, is just music to my ears. And so, I mean, it could go so many different directions. I mean, essentially right now, as it looks like, there really wouldn't be too much of any more regular season games. Now, the playoff situation, that could be completely different. There's been rumors that it could possibly be an NCAA style single elimination going into possibly into the round of 16 or something similar to that. Or it could be an 18 playoff with a best of 3 series, abbreviated playoff or something of that nature.
And how do you feel about that as opposed to doing a March Madness thing? Would you rather see the series or a one and done kind of deal?
I see the only reason why I would not be a fan of the one and done things, because that's not necessarily how the NBA has been set up.
I agree.
It's one of those things where, God forbid, right now, just left field, God forbid that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are healthy right now, and the Golden State Warriors that have been stinking up the NBA this entire year goes on an absolute tear, and it's just one game. They've got to put it all together. And next thing you know, they're just in the midst of everything, just wreaking havoc. And they haven't necessarily earned the right to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
right.
That would definitely make this stuff a lot more interesting. And I was actually even thinking about this when back at the beginning, a month ago, when they first were scrapping the NBA, when they first put the suspension in place. I actually thought this might benefit the Lakers because LeBron James is going to get some extra rest. And after not playing a lot of last year and having extended time off over the summer, he looked fantastic in the fall and, through the winter. He had a little bit more pep in his step. He was more healed up and rested than he had been. So I thought that could be to the Lakers' advantage. But I hadn't even really thought about some of those injured players coming back like that. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, that is an interesting take, man, about having some of these players. Think about it. They've probably been hurt since training camp or got hurt at before the All-Star break, and now they had a whole extra month.
And it could end up being an extra 2 to 3 by the time they get back out there.
Yeah, so it's just it makes it interesting, very interesting, especially Scottie D, like you said, with the Golden State situation. You get a 100% Clay and a 100% Steph back, and it's now it looks different. It looks real different. Be live. Go ahead.
So I mean, essentially, like I said, that would be one of the downsides to that whole single elimination, one game, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same note, I think, me personally, I think the first round should be single elimination. Then get to the round of 16 with 3-game series. Round of 8, 3-game series. Round of 4, 5-game series. And NBA Finals, 7 games. I don't know. This is me. I don't know. I think that'll give us something to where who knows right now, if you cut it off right now to 16 teams, who knows who would have made that last push. Teams have been playing. Yeah. Teams plan on making that last playoff push. They rest the players now to make it to this point. Hey, all right, we need to grind it out. We need to win these games. And the fact that it got interrupted, I would say that will give the 16 through 24 seeded teams, they'll give them that opportunity to still have a chance to play it in. So essentially, that's a thought process. There's a lot of different things that could happen, but the simple fact that there are plans in place, that they're talking about it, it's just, please.
We're salivating over here. We're salivating over here.
I actually don't think they are in a position, even at this point, where they feel like they need to rush. I mean, I even heard a scenario where the start of next season could be delayed into early December, just so they would have some time off between the end of this season and the next. And I'm for that. I mean, this COVID thing isn't just going going to affect us in a matter of 3 months. It's going to affect all the sports over the course of the next year. I mean, this is going to be a long-term thing. So if the NBA has to move their schedule next year back a little bit, who cares really? I mean, why is that? I don't understand why that would be such a big deal. So I think the NBA has the luxury of taking their time and dragging this thing out into late summer or early fall if they have to. And if that's what it takes to declare a champion with the best possible playoff system, then I'm for that too. I don't necessarily need to see a one and done or maybe a best of 5, in a couple rounds before going to the best of 7. However, again, I'm just gonna be happy to see sports. So whatever they come up with, I'm gonna watch.
Live action sports. That's what we want to see.
Oh.
I think as of yesterday? We're recording on Monday. I think yesterday made a whole full month, no live basketball.
Yep.
When it all went down,
I believe
it went crazy.
I believe it was March 12th, March 13th. That does sound correct. Yep, that is exactly the date, March 13th.
Yeah, a whole month and no live basketball. But ESPN, they're doing their part by giving us this horse competition and giving us this NBA 2K Players Tournament. Yeah, now's the time to they're looking for content. It's hard times when ESPN when they're showing WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Okay. When they're showing WrestleManias from last year and the year before. While we're on the topic of the NBA, there seems to be some friction in Utah, if you will, between Rudy Gobert and Donavan Mitchell. Now, fellas, as we all know, Rudy Gobert was joking about COVID-19. He started touching everything, and then a few days later, he got sick, and he messed around and got that Rona too. And it wound up, infecting several players, including his teammate Donavan Mitchell. And from what I heard, fellas, they might be bumping heads. I think Donavan Mitchell said that he hadn't really talked to him since, it happened, and he's been real sure about, I heard he's well. Hope he's doing well. I heard he's well. And that's really it. And Rudy Gobert's it's overblown. We've talked and everything. So, fellas, but this is interesting once again. This whole Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell situation. Be like, what you think about this?
Well, I mean, essentially, it goes back to a lot of rumblings well beforehand that a lot of it's not just Donovan Mitchell. It was a lot of players in that locker room that were not happy with just how cavalier Rudy Gobert was, and it's now to the point where I've read a couple of reports where the Jazz are already shopping Rudy Gobert, and there's been a possibility looking at that he might join the Dallas Mavericks. And could you imagine that lineup of Rudy Gobert, Kristaps Porzingis, and Luka Doncic? Woo, that's dangerous. But essentially, like I said, the locker room itself, not just Donovan Mitchell, but the locker room as a whole, when it comes to Utah Jazz, have grown sour to Rudy Gobert and his antics. And I mean, we've all seen the fallout to what essentially happened. I mean, again, maybe it's a little bit overblown, but literally, his antics can be attributed to the fallout of all major professional sports. Because that was the domino that fell when Rudy Gobert was tested positive for it. That was the domino that was like, oh, okay, this is out there. We need to make a move. Boom, boom. Shut it down, 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 shut it down. And so on and so forth. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me here at all. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, got to make business decisions and what's best for the team, the franchise. And I like I said, I don't see anything wrong with this at all.
Scottie D, where you at on this whole Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell rivalry beef situation?
Well, I did actually hear Gobert in that interview that B-Lab was talking about, or you may have mentioned that he said that it was kind of overblown and that things were cool. Haven't heard from Donovan Mitchell yet, but Donovan Mitchell, from what I've seen in his young career, is a pretty reasonable young guy. We don't know yet. These guys have been isolated from one another since that's happened. We don't know yet if they had a chance to sit and actually talk it through, because I know Rudy Gobert has been contrite about that since it's happened. He's been apologetic, and he's made some financial donations to help out with this situation. So that's just one of those things that it might be lingering right now, it might be festering, but we don't know. They may have had a private conversation or text, and when you get back in your team atmosphere and you're back together, then that could be something that could be addressed going forward. I think it's a little bit too early to start shopping Rudy Gobert as a trade piece, especially considering Utah's a pretty good team and the season, by all accounts, is not over. But it's hard to tell, especially considering we don't know who gave who the virus. Rudy Gobert's actions were definitely reckless by doing all that stuff. But again, at that point, none of us knew exactly what we were facing with this pandemic.
No, that's true. We don't know. We don't know. And I was watching Undisputed with Skip and Shannon this morning, and just like Shannon Sharp said, what happens when you trade for big time stars. Your return, what you get back, you never get back anything of equal or greater value for a star player of that magnitude. So if they wind up trading them, I mean, Utah might get screwed out the deal. I just think that there's two ways to look at this. I mean, they could be mad when they just be like, you know what, man, things happen. I'm not mad at you. And Rudy could be like, you know what, I understand why you're mad because, you were having a good season and we had momentum. And due to me being, due to my antics and me just being passive about it, and next thing you know, I tested positive for COVID-19, then it's like, hey, I have to, okay, I'm sorry. And I have to, growing up, he's 27. It's one of life lessons. Another one of life's lessons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, we don't know what the personal relationship is between those, because we only hear the media side of it. So we'll see. We'll see if that becomes an issue going forward. Too early to tell.
Right. Yeah, I'm just glad everybody's doing well. That's what I'm concerned about. Everybody's doing well. Yeah, because just if earlier today, Carl Anthony Towns, his mother, the latest victim of COVID-19. So stay in the house, listen to your governors. Even if your governor seems slow, act accordingly, and take care of yourself. To the NFL draft, fellas, it is 10 days away, and from the looks of it, it might be going virtual. Yeah, it might be going virtual. Roger Goodell said he'll probably be announcing the picks from his basement. I wonder what kind of liquor he got. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. He probably got that Macallan 24 up under there. But like I said, COVID-19 just has an effect on everything. So be like, what you think about this whole live from Goodell's basement, the 2020 NFL draft?
It's one of those things again that just the show must go on, especially with something as big as to shield the NFL. And
damn it. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Right. So it's one of those things where I'm glad it's going virtual. That again, we're practicing social distancing and everything like that. It just sucks for these players that the draft, the moment to walk up on the stage to get the hat, to shake the hand of the commissioner, the eager, like I said, the pomp and circumstance that goes behind it is very unfortunate for this draft class. Same as it goes for like your collegiate athletes that are graduating, your high schoolers that are supposed to be grad. It's just you wait your entire life for this very moment, and it's disrupted. And,
it's abbreviated.
So it's again, the show must go on. At the end of the day, you get the jersey, you get your name on the back, you get the contract and all things that go along with it. And again, like I said, pomp and circumstance. Some things, we don't necessarily need, but it's one of those things that makes sports what it is. And so it's unfortunate that it is this way. But again, the show must go on, and us as fans, we greatly
Well, I'll
appreciate
tell you what
it.
I'm going to miss.
Scottie D with the next pick, the Dallas Cowboys select.
Yeah, well, you know what? Next week we'll do a little bit of draft preview. That'll be kind of fun to talk about some of that stuff because you already see Kuiper and McShay and all these guys talking about. So we'll do a little of that next week. But I'll tell you, the one thing I'm going to miss the most about the draft is just watching Goodell get booed out of the building because I can't stand him. I love when he gets up to the podium every year, and no matter what city he's in, it is just relentless. They hate him everywhere you go. And so I'll miss that, and I'm going to be jealous when I see what kind of basement this guy's got because I'm sure it's probably nicer than any home I've ever lived in.
It's probably like a condominium, a whole condo in the basement.
He's not going to be sitting there reading off draft picks next to a leaky pipe and an old broken down pool table. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, looking like, hey guys, let's have a fancy draft in my basement. We're going to your basement. We're going to your basement with the funny smell and the mold and the critters and the bed bugs. Oh no, not Roger Goodell. I'm telling you, man, Roger Goodell looks like he might be a Macallan 12 drinker. He might be. But yeah, the NFL draft going virtual, man. It's like you said, man, it's the pomp and circumstances. I mean, this year, we won't have a moment where we see Falcons Tech McKinley, him crying and cussing on the stage, saying it's for his grandma. The loud suits. We won't have our Aaron Rodgers, Brady Quinn moment.
Big draft parties.
Yeah,
right.
Big old draft parties. It'll be different. And Scottie D alluded to next week, we gonna have a little draft preview. The reason we ain't been talking about the draft is because how many times are we gonna talk about the draft leading up to the week before the draft, and then the draft happens? We're gonna be drafted the hell out. Sure. That's one thing that we do that the other networks don't do. They just drive it home. Okay, I got it. It's Joe Burrow, Chase Young, and then everybody else. So that's that, man, for the NFL going virtual. Something new, something different. And speaking of something new and something different, it ain't different, but it's back to where it was. B-Live and Scottie D have had a debate about the XFL.
This is what you've all been waiting for.
Yeah, this is the main event. First day Scottie come back. Hey, man, I got to go ahead and put you in the ring, man. I'm giving you your NXT call up right now, man. I need you at Raw. ASAP. All right? So who was right and who was wrong about the staying power of the XFL? Was it B-Live or Scottie D? We going to go Scottie D first, then we going to go B-Live, and then I'm going to tell you what I think.
I have made no secret about my disdain for it. I week in and week out have told you I could barely stomach to look at it, and it wasn't going to work. And Vince McMahon was crazy for trying it again. And then this past week, what a surprise! They are going to cease operations, and the defense rests.
All right.
Are you kidding me? you've had a couple weeks to prepare for this moment because you've doomed the XFL from the start, and you're telling me that that's the best you can
called
do?
it turd a turd as soon as I saw it in the bowl.
Wow!
Somebody put a turd in the punch bowl.
So you're telling me that regardless of all the said events that have happened in the world, that the XFL was doomed to fail. That's what you're telling me, right? That's what you're going with?
That's
how
truth.
you feel.
It's not coming back.
That's not the truth.
It is the truth. The XFL said we are ceasing operations. The XFL is no more.
Not because of what you said.
Well, the NBA has ceased operations, but are they coming back? Yes. The NHL has ceased operations, but are they coming back? Yes, they are. Major League Baseball, they're planning on playing in a bubble.
No. You're not gonna sit here. No. You're not going to sit here with. Okay. Let me take this in real quick. You're telling me right now because of this pandemic, Like, and they have no way of generating money. It's just like any business. You're going to lose money the first year that you do anything because of costs of production, the advertising, marketing, everything that you put into the product. You're waiting on a return. And for the first 5 weeks, they had
No,
a
they didn't. They
decent
had
return
1
on the
week,
product.
one good
Yeah,
week. The reason they're not coming back
they
is
were
because they were drawing about 45 people a game and about 200 viewers on TV nationwide.
He said 45.
So the correct numbers are 20,000 people a game on average. 20,000.
No, that was
Well
one
above what the
stadium. The other
Alliance
stadiums
was
were having
drawing.
about 30.
No. 30 what?
People a game.
They were averaging 20,000. I did my research, unlike you, sir.
Because didn't the Battlehawks lead the league in attendance like about
one
3 weeks in a
team
row?
drew like
Yeah,
20,000. Everyone else had just their parents coming to the game.
Wow, no. Do better research.
I
You
don't
need to
have
do
to
better.
do better. I said
Because
this league was going to last a year, and I was wrong. It didn't even last a year.
Oh my goodness! How dare you, sir? How dare you? But anyway, because we could talk about this all day and night. Yes, facts that are on the wall. The XFL has ceased operations. They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Yes, the XFL is no more. That is a fact. It is not because of the mediocrity of the sport, as Scott would love to.
Sure, it was because if the stadiums were full and the ratings were high, they would make a way to come back next year. But that wasn't the case.
No, there's no way. You can only make but so much money. Now, granted, yes, it would have had a little bit more staying power if they would have drawn 60, 70, 80,000 people, which we knew that it wasn't going to do. But it drew enough. If it stayed the way it was with the amount of people that were showing up, the amount of people that were viewing, which averaged on the brinks of 2 million viewers a game, do your research. Again,
Fake news.
Do better. If it is, wow.
Fake news.
Your mouth.
Your mouth.
Your mouth. So disrespectful. If it had stayed on, it would have stayed right where it was. It was already there. If it had stayed right there throughout the season, there would have been no question, no doubt. They had already announced that they had every plans of being back in the 2021 season.
It sucks.
But guess
they're
what?
Not.
There's no. You know what?
Okay. All right. Here we go. So.
Waited 2 long weeks for this. I was glad to have him back, and then here he comes with the bull.
All right, so here we go. All right, so according to a source, a reputable source, Vince McMahon reported to lose $375 million on the XFL. So this is the second time. Well, actually, I think he had to eat this one himself, but I think him and Dick Ebersol had the first incarnation of the XFL. All right, so here come the judge, the grand jury, and me, the Honorable Eduardo Frijo, aka Eddy Kool. All right, so check it out. I look at it like this. Scott, I see where you're coming from. B-Live, I see where you're coming from. B-Live, I see where you're coming from because the XFL was an alternative to the NFL. Because I liken it to AEW and the WWE, or WWE and WCW back in the day. The alternative. And the thing about it is, the NFL, they're not worried about no kind of competition, none whatsoever. Just think about it. This is the third league. Third league that done went belly up. The USFL in the 80s and 2 incarnations of the XFL. And Scottie D, I see where you come from. Because the NFL is tried and true and is ingrained in American culture. From the G on the Green Bay helmet to the star on the Dallas Cowboys to them brown helmets to the Cleveland Browns and to that one logo, the steel logo of the Pittsburgh Steelers, it is ingrained. The National Football League is a part of American culture. The XFL was going to take some time for people to get, to warm up to. I mean, you had an interesting story. You had an undefeated team going into week 5. Granted, they're not the best athletes play on Sunday and Thursday and whatever, Sunday, Thursday, and Monday. You also have other athletes over here who are borderline or just don't have what it takes to make it there. So I look at XFL as like, okay, instead of going to Canada, I still can stay here in the States and chase his dream and still play football at a professional level. So I get both you guys' argument. I get them both because I stayed up. I'm like, you know what? I said, here's what Scottie D, here's what B-Live thinks about it, and that's what I've come with. So there ain't no right or wrong answer because, as you said, B-Live, if it wasn't for COVID-19, we wouldn't know what the XFL would be. And Scottie D, some of the plays are lackluster because they did need play at the quarterback position because the quarterbacks are the stars.
Yeah, they sucked.
Look at the NFL. If you ask people, okay,
and they were XFL, they were terrible. I went on record as saying that.
Yeah, I mean, other than PJ Walker, who wound up getting a job for Carolina, something must have happened. But we know how that is. So, guys, I say like this: I get both sides.
Well, the thing is, I said there would not be XFL in 2021, and that's really all I have to say about that.
Wow, no. Your reasoning behind it is just dead wrong.
I made a prediction, and it appears that prediction is going to come true.
So you predicted
I did not predict
COVID-19. You put it.
Yes,
you did. That's exactly what you said. That's exactly.
I predicted the XFL would not be back next year.
You said that you predicted this. You predicted this. You predicted that the XFL would not make it, and the reason why the XFL did not make it was because of COVID-19, because in interviews at midseason, Jeffrey Pollack and the XFL commissioner Oliver Luck said the league was poised for a strong finish to carry momentum into 2021. They had no doubt in their mind that they were going to go into 2021. They had the momentum. It was there. Looking at the stats, the first week, 3.12 million views per game. Going into week 5, they average about 1.5. That's just like everything that goes on. Everybody has a moment. They're like, oh, we're going to check this out. Then it trickled down a little bit, but 1.5 million.
And yet they ran unopposed and didn't even have March Madness to compete with at that point. And once that happened, they were going to be out of business, which they are, which is why I am now done talking about that defunct league.
Well, then but then if you're done, talking
Go
about
ahead.
it, then I'm going to conclude this matter and just saying that you were wrong.
Okay.
You're wrong, and you're wrong. The XFL would have been back in 2021 if it had not been for this pandemic, and that's all I have to say about that. Life is like a box of chocolates.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Sports Bros podcast. By the fans, for the fans. ESPN, they got Max and Stephen A. All right. FS1, they got Skip and Shannon. I guess. But here, you got the almighty B-Live and the money man, Scottie D. In your earphones, in your ears, in your cars, your Bluetooth speaker, every Tuesday. This is the Sports Bros podcast. And we are moving right along. And I'm going to do like I did last week. Hit it, Button.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Thank you once again to the wonderful and lovely Miss Button for the introduction to our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. Look, man, I done 50-some plus episodes. I done told y'all she ain't lying. This woman tell you the truth. And if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. Am I going to write it down for you? No, because you can't read nothing, listen to a podcast. You can't see it like John Cena. So anyways, Scottie D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
The question in question was, in light of the COVID-19 situation going on and us losing sporting events, what sporting event would you hate to miss or hate to see canceled more than any other? And we did exclude the Super Bowl because we just are going to naturally assume nobody would want to miss the Super Bowl because that's kind of become a national holiday for us. So Other than the Super Bowl, what sporting event would you just hate to see canceled more than any other?
All right, so here we go. Martin Tracy, Matty Ice says, the most devastating events I will miss the most are the Summer Olympics. And since there are so many events, I thought I would list them. Number 1, dressage or dressage, depending on where you come from. How I will miss watching horses dance. This is the edited version of SportsBros podcast. You should have heard how I butchered this word. Thanks, fellas, for helping me with that, because I ain't never heard it pronounced like that before. So, yeah, dressage. How I will miss watching horses dance.
You got race walking, badminton, synchronized swimming. He got a handful of Summer Olympic events here that I think he might have been messing with us, guys.
Of course he was.
Yeah, because I'm like
trampoline, gymnastics, the whole
dressing.
Enjoy, he says.
Yeah, trampoline gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics, synchronized swimming, badminton, and race walk.
I don't care what anybody says. Watching Olympic badminton.
Dude, I enjoy all the Olympic events. I watch it. I love this stuff because it's rare and you only get to see it once every 4 years.
Right.
It's the Olympics. So, Mark Tracy, we're with you, man. Our sentiments go to missing the Summer Olympics, which hopefully will go on next year.
All those kids that were training for that this year all get to make it there next year. If they, I know some of them still had to earn their spot, but man, that sucks to work your whole life to be, the opportunity to be an Olympian. It already sucks, like we were talking about for the NBA or NFL draft picks. Their night's going to be different than any other in history, but at least they're still going to get drafted and still play their sport. But the Olympic thing, that's something that only comes around once every 4 years, and for some of them once in a lifetime. So I do hope that the majority of those kids get their shot at it next year in Japan.
You're right, Scottie D, because once we hear them that one time in the Olympics, that's it. I mean, just like Rulon Gardner, when he was Olympic wrestler, WWE wouldn't throw no contract at him. And that was it. Kurt Angle was a long case. All right, so now we got Sean Connors, probably the most we are missing right now.
He was referring to the Masters. I know for a fact because I know him in missing the Masters.
Okay.
That sucked. That really sucked. And and the reason I know Sean is referring to that is because for many, many years, Sean and I and a big group of guys would get together on Masters Sunday and play our own golf tournament in the morning, and then watch the Masters together in the afternoon, and maybe do a little imbibe of some alcoholic beverages, that kind of thing. But anyway, the Masters Sunday was a special day for us for a long time. So that's to me, that's my favorite golf tournament to watch. So that one hurts. Sean's right about that one.
And then there was no Monday after the Masters,
which is a big event in North Myrtle Beach. So I mean that affected a lot of people in the hometown and everything like that. So no Hootie and the Blowfish this year.
I want to be
Wow. Please leave that in the episode, and we apologize for.
I'm such a baby, the Dolphins made me cry. Yeah. Shout out to Rodney, Dolphins fan. We cover all bases here at the SportsBros podcast. Yes, definitely Sean Connors, man. I think the Masters will be played in November 9th, if I'm not mistaken. How do I know? Because November 9th is the day after my birthday, November 8th. Let a brother hold some money. Moving right along. We got Craig Burns. He said season 12 of American Ninja
I tell you, I'll take this one because Craig Burns has been one of our listeners since October, and that's when I personally met him at the Beast Ninja Gym. Craig has two sons that are very much into doing the ninja training. One which the older son is very advanced, outstanding at competing in this ninja warrior stuff. And I tell you, this community of ninja warriors, of the ninja community, I should say, people are doing this obstacle course training is growing, and it is so cool to see these people that are part of this. So American Ninja Warrior is pretty much the basis of that. So that actually is a big event. So I don't know what the status is on that. I really don't. But I know that is a big deal in the ninja community, the obstacle course training community. So I hope if they are missing out, I hope they are able to get back to that sooner rather than later as well.
That is very fascinating TV. That is very fascinating TV. Just to see, people that look like, just people doing feats of strength and will and looking like superheroes, looking real otherworldly.
It's a pleasure watching these athletes do things that are so much different than normal athletic feats. So shout out to American Ninja Warrior.
I'm about to say, you too, Scottie. Yeah, you too, Scottie D. And for you to work at Beast Ninja, you get to see this firsthand. So it's kind of like, wow, wow. Yeah. So shout out to Craig Burns for that one. Doug Sieber says
again,
women's curling.
Our leg, but okay, yeah.
Another leg puller. Got you.
No. And shoot. I don't remember which episode it was.
The Valentine's episode.
Was it? And we who mentioned one of the ladies on the Canadian women's curling team? Was that Matty Ice answer?
If I'm not mistaken, it sounds like Matty Ice, yeah.
So I had to look her up. I was like, hey, okay. Some cuties on the women's curling team. I don't care. I don't care if they're joking or not. I'm gonna take it seriously because I love my sports. Yeah, everybody got jokes. They want to be a comedian on.
I could go for some women's
choices
right
of the
now,
voices.
No sports, I'd watch it right now.
Right. Yeah. I don't know a scoring system, but it's looking like an athletic, a football move, if you will, 2 feet and slide. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah, it's better than anything. Now, there's only so many times we can watch replays. Only so many times. Help us. Damn you, COVID-19. All right, so here we go. We got Rob G. He said, to be honest, and I think he can vouch for all of us, March Madness. Literally every game was do or die, and it didn't matter how much the lead is. It always came down to the very, very end.
I'm a piggyback on this one. Rob was a co-worker of mine. He worked with me at Max. Young gentleman. He's very, very avid into sports. He definitely follows, and Scottie D, I swear for everything, if you say something smart. He definitely enjoys soccer as well. He's a Carolina Hurricane hockey fan as well. And so, but he's definitely one of those guys. He finished up his work, and then sure enough, after he'd done at work, he'd get him a snack, something to eat, and watch all the sports that we have on the TVs there at Max. So we were all geared up for March Madness, and that was one of those things where it just did not happen. And it's one of those things when we look back 20 years from now, this is one of those things. This is something that we'll carry with us for the rest of our lives. It's just 2020, the year that was and wasn't. So
from Kobe Bryant dying, Australia burning down, and then here come COVID-19. Man, look. look. I don't. Whoo, yeah. Go ahead, B.
But no, that's exactly what it is, and I mean that is pretty much a lot of people are feeling that same way about March Madness. So,
yep. Ain't think about this. I was gonna actually do my brackets this year. Go figure, right?
Right.
The one time I decided to get right, the world just want to shut down. All because some dude want to eat a bat. No, I'm playing. I'm joking. Severely joking. All right, Uncle Max. Speaking of goats and OGs, we got Uncle Max. He said college football, I would be devastated. Man, Uncle Max, you know what? Whew. You speak for all 3 of the sports bros.
Yeah.
All 3 of the sports bros, because I'll tell you why, Scottie D, he'll be able to watch the Fighting Pat Arduzis, and this year it might be a little in question. Me, I gotta watch, Will Muschamp in the Fighting Gamecocks, at least give him fight, and then be live. Well, this year, if they don't play, he probably won't be bragging about it.
All roads lead to Dabo
he usually does.
They're college football.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
No, hold on. I'm gonna jump on this real quick because Uncle Max, I 100% agree. That is my answer as well. There's a reason why I want to go ahead and jump into this is because college football really, I mean, that is one of our staples here at the SportsBros podcast. We have our own hashtag for that very reason, as Scott has already alluded to. All roads lead to Dabo. That is my answer. College football, I get it together. People stay at home so we can have college football. Please stay at home.
All right. Yeah, that was a good one, Uncle Max. Yeah, college football is very near and dear to our hearts. As B-Live mentioned, there is a hashtag, thanks to college football, all roads lead to Dabo, and thanks to Scottie D, all roads lead to Dabo's front porch. Or all roads lead to Dabo's gazebo, however you want to put it. All right, Terrible Pete Talansky says, missing the World Series. He said, will be devastating because baseball is America's favorite pastime, of course. When the season was canceled during the strike-shortened season of 1994, he hated it. He said, baseball is a great sport by far. He said he's watched every World Series since 1975, minus the strike-shortened 94 season. He said he don't want to miss another one. Since 1903, there have only been 2 years where there were no World Series, 1904 and 1994. Please, let's not add 2020 to the list of years there were no World Series. The World Series is one of those things where it's like, okay, you got the Masters, you got March Madness, you got the World Series. It's Kentucky Derby and the World Series. It's there. Like and without it, seems a little different.
I actually debated of making this my choice, and that's because I look forward to the fall so much every year. I love when the football season kicks off and the weather cracks a little bit, and the baseball playoffs, not just the World Series, but the baseball postseason. Man, I love baseball postseason. I love the intensity of it. I love when the first round has 4 games on in one day. Man, that to me, that doesn't get much better than that. And it did suck in 94 when we lost it. So it's hard for me to not say that one. I think I'm going to go with March Madness, though, just because I'm feeling the effects of that right now. Just knowing that, I mean, we're recording this on Monday, but last Monday would have been the night of the national championship game. Hard to believe we lost all those games and, the excitement, because in the same way, you have the weather change and the seasons change in the fall. You have that basically in March too, where you're getting out of the dark days of January and February, and then March Madness comes along, and the whole country is riveted with their brackets. And a lot of people don't watch college basketball very much until March comes around. So this year, not having the opportunity to watch these kids excel on their last chance, someone with the seniors and someone making their last case to be NBA players. Boy, that hurt this year, not having March Madness, because to me, the best 2 days of sports of the entire year are the first Thursday and the first Friday of the NCAA tournament, whenever everybody's in and you're just starting off, and there's basketball on from noon till midnight all day long. Man, I love that. I love just plant myself in front of the TV and watching that stuff all day. So, it may feel different to me when world, if baseball would come around, I'd have no baseball playoffs, and that I could certainly see myself swinging back the other way. But because of the sting of losing March Madness for the first time, I'm going to say that one is my choice.
All right. Well, my choice, I would have to go with Terrible Pete on that one, man. The World Series, just like like I said, as the NFL is ingrained in American culture, so is baseball in the World Series. I mean, I'll be completely honest with y'all. There ain't no way in hell I'm watching 162 games, but come to playoffs, there's nothing like playoff baseball drama. Matter of fact, I remember when the Indians were in the playoffs and they played the Red Sox, and I was here in Cleveland and I watched it live, and there was a slight chill in the air, not too cold, cool enough for some jeans, warm enough for a shirt. We out there by Lake Erie at Progressive Field, and I got to see Big Papi play for possibly the last time, and I get to see just being there and being a part of the atmosphere and just seeing a home run being hit there and everywhere is something that sticks with you forever. But to imagine that,
right.
that and that was the playoffs, but the World Series, like we saw with was it Cleveland and Chicago?
Oh,
now just imagine if we didn't have that.
What a historic World Series that would be
in 2016.
awesome.
Yeah, that would I would be sick. I would cry. It would just, and I'm not no big baseball fan, but like, hey, this is, baseball. The World Series is must see TV, high level drama. I mean, think about it. Joey Batista with the bat flip. Kirk Gibson with the home run, hitting it injured, hobbled. Aroldis Chapman doing Aroldis Chapman stuff, and then Luis Gonzalez getting that hit and for the Diamondbacks win the first ever World Series championship against the Yankees. And then let's not forget the Marlins. Okay. Now just imagine all those memories, all those memorable moments taken away due to some damn COVID-19. So I just went on epic rant, and you see why the World Series my choice.
My choice was
you already told you your choice, did you?
National championship, the playoffs. But I want to take a moment. Because Scottie D, you hit on March Madness, and there's one thing that we really haven't mentioned about the loss of March Madness: Selection Sunday.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite days.
Selection Sunday.
Yep.
Seeing these kids, because a lot of these schools, all they have is that their conference tournament. Just a shot in the pan, hopefully be a 15 or 16 seed. Their conference only gets one automatic bid. And seeing these kids just elated when their name is called, when they're on the bracket. So if I could take just a second, I want to give a shout out to the teams that actually already clinched but didn't get to play. So I'm starting off with the Mountain West. Utah State. Ohio Valley automatic bid went to Belmont. Big South went to Winthrop. Missouri Valley went to Bradley. The Atlantic Sun went to Liberty. The Southern Conference automatic bid went to East Tennessee State. Ivy League was Yale. Yep. And so Yale.
Remember they didn't have a tournament.
Or the regular season.
Yep. The CAA automatic bid went to Hofstra. Horizon Conference went to Northern Kentucky. I believe it's the Northeastern Conference. NEC automatic bid goes to Robert Morris. Summit League automatic bid went to North Dakota State, and the West Coast Conference,
the Bison,
went to Gonzaga. Gonzaga, we knew they were going to make it in, but once again, these teams, they clinched. They made it into the tournament. All the other ones were still up for grabs, of course. So, some teams were going to make it. But though they had actually made it to the big dance and were sitting at home ready to go, and then they canceled everything. So that's just devastating.
Yep.
Whew.
Good call, Be Live.
Fellas, that was good. Good. Great. Now more than ever. I got a 1A and 1B. 1A was the World Series. 1B is the NBA Finals. Now, there's marquee games that we watch, and then to know that the season is on halt due to COVID-19, and knowing that it'll be an abbreviated season, and they're trying to put the season back together to resume it. The NBA Finals, man, it was just wow. It's just and not having no NBA Finals will definitely be felt, because if I don't watch any basketball throughout the year, I will keep up enough with it, just enough to watch the finals.
Yeah, hopefully
and
we don't
what
have that
the hell's
happen,
going
so.
on. Yeah, it's just I don't know what to do. I mean, I can. It's kind of like, okay, we got an abbreviated version of WrestleMania, but we can't have no NBA Finals and no World Series. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. I think I speak for all sports fans. And we want to give a shout to Sean Connors, Craig Burns, Doug, Rob G, Uncle Max, Terrible Pete Talansky, Trey Dizzle. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention Richard Metzger. He said Tiddlywink Super Bowl in the Cornhole Championship. All right. We want to give a shout out to Rich, Trey Duke, Pete Terrible Pete, Uncle Max, Rob G, Doug Siebers, Craig, Sean Connors, and Matty Ice, as crazy as his answer was. All right, Scottie D, what we got for next week's
question? Right, so
for the choice.
This is a good one.
For the voices.
Question for next week is, as sports fans, who would you select on your Mount Rushmore of sports announcers? I know last year we did a question where we said, who do you think is the best announcer in sports today, where we just picked our single guy who we liked or gal who we liked today in today's sports world. But this could be of all time, your all-time favorite, or who you think is the best announcers in the history of sports, and you're giving us 4 because that's the Mount Rushmore.
Could it be Al Michaels or could it be Howard Cosell? couple good ones. So yeah, voices of the game. I mean, we watch the game, but then again, the voices, they help bring everything to life. Do you believe in miracles?
Doris Burke's definitely going to be on mine. You know that.
Candidate, so,
Doris Burke is on my
that's the question.
Absolutely.
Why am I not surprised? All right, I'm giving myself the go home cue because I'm ready to get up out of here along with my sports bros. So you know what that means? Another edition of Pepper. That's right, Peppers. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really, but it'll be some feel good stuff. All right, so just to go ahead and let you know, Scottie D, since I can't find, I'm kind of being lazy, not really finding anything currently in the world of sports. I'm doing this day in history, and I'm doing 3 separate topics from 3 separate years. I mean, you guys can keep the format going, what you've been doing, but I think I'd do something different. How you feel about that? All right, so here we go. This day in history, in 1974, Gary Player wins the second of his 3rd Masters title, 2 strokes ahead of Dave Stockton and Tom Weiskopf. Yep, Gary Player, 2 out of 3, 1974. This
all right,
day in history.
Just we kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I saw a recent poll online where 72% of sports fans said that they will not go back to stadiums until there is a not a cure, but a vaccine for COVID-19. And that just shows you, guys, we're hoping to get through this over the summer, but it could be a year or years before sports start to look the same. Just makes you appreciate what we had, and really hoping that we're able to get that vaccine and get things back to normal sooner rather than later. Be Live, over to you.
Oh man, yeah. I mean that's essentially what we were talking about earlier. Fans are not in there; they're reluctant to just jump right back into things. But so while we're staying at home, another major league is joining the esports situational, as you would put it. So Major League Baseball is launching the first competitive Major League Baseball The Show League, which is a baseball game that's on consoles, and that actually starts this Friday, where there's going to be, I believe, what it looks like, there's going to be a player representative from all 30 teams, and they're competing in a 29-game regular season. So regular season begins Friday and will last through April 28th. Games will take place every 1 to 2 days with 3 to 5 3-inning matchups played each game day. So I guess the first game will take place Friday at 9 p.m. where Tampa Bay Rays pitcher Blake Snell and Cincinnati Reds reliever Amir Garrett face off on Snell's Twitch channel. And then conversations taking place with the league's broadcast partners to potentially televise some of the games, sources had told ESPN. So we're going to see some competitive esports when it comes to baseball. Might be interesting. Eddy Kool, the ball.
Only bad part about it is we won't see Amir Garrett fight nobody. So, little sad about that.
What's that?
You remember Amir Garrett, don't you, Scottie D?
No.
I said you remember Amir Garrett, don't you?
Oh yeah.
From the Reds, when the Reds and the Pirates fought last year. Yeah, Amir Garrett. Yeah, Amir Garrett. I was like, wait a minute, Reds relieve Amir. I'm like, oh, you want the channel? Okay, yeah, Mr. 9 feet tall. I'm gonna beat everybody, and got the hell out the way. All right, so now that I have the ball, and since we're on baseball, this day in history, back in 1969, was the first Major League Baseball game played outside of the United States, and it was played in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It was an expansion year for a brand new team called the Montreal Expos. Don't ask me how to say that in French, all right? So the Expos hosted, at the time, the defending National League champions St. Louis Cardinals. And guess what? The Expos won their first home game by a score of 8-7. And now the Montreal Expos are known as the Washington Nationals.
All right.
Over to you, Scotty. Yep,
so
the champs. Over to you, Scotty.
It looked like we were going to get an opportunity to watch some live sports when Dana White somehow was going to secure an island and have UFC pay-per-view on an island, some secret getaway place. And ultimately, the bosses at ESPN and Disney asked him to stand down, and he did. And it would have been cool to watch Tony Ferguson take on Justin Gaethje. But I tell you, if something went wrong, it would have been something the UFC would have had a hard time coming back for. So as much as I am going to be disappointed to not watch any live fighting coming up here, I gotta believe that not having this fight this weekend is the right thing to do. Over to you, B-Live.
Yeah, and I do agree with that amidst that tragedy, unfortunately. So
I was uncomfortable with that to begin with, but I'm glad it's not happening.
As much as we want to see live sports,
I was uncomfortable with that.
No.
I was going to watch.
So, yeah. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I'm going to watch.
All right. So, and we alluded to this earlier when we were talking about the NBA with the horse challenge, but I would like to take a moment of time to tell the results of the quarterfinals, where we had Trae Young going against Chauncey Billups, and Chauncey Billups actually comes up victorious over Trae Young. So, also Tamika Catchings versus Mike Conley Jr. Mike Conley is victorious against her. And the third matchup featured the high flyer Zach LaVine versus Paul Pierce, and Zach LaVine comes up victorious in that horse competition. And the fourth and final competition with Chris Paul versus Allie Quigley, and Allie Quigley defeats CP3. So now it sets up for the semifinal matchup, which I do believe is coming up on April 16th at 9 p.m. on ESPN and streaming on the ESPN app. Eddy Kool, the ball.
Cut the check, ESPN. Also, then we got the iRacing on Fox Sports 1, which is starting to turn into real life NASCAR because we got Bubba Wallace getting mad last week. And then we got a fella making slur.
They doing the most. I was
wild.
I thought about making that my pepper point, but that made me a little hot when I heard it. I was like, really, dude? Y'all, you off the chain with it. That was but we're gonna leave that alone. Eddy Kool.
But see, right there, that's why some people need. That's why some people need to stay in the house, so some people can get out the house. Anyways, number 3, tres, trois. This day in history, back in 1917, the Chicago White Sox pitcher, I'm going to butcher his name, but you might not know who he is. Chicago White Sox pitcher, Ed Kool, no-hits the St. Louis Browns 11-0.
Why?
Now, why would that name sound familiar? Ask me why does his name sound familiar? I'll tell you why. Because he was one of 8 players involved in the Black Sox scandal of the 1919 World Series. And he was one of many players that were banned for life, forever, from Major League Baseball. Goes to show, kids, only bet when you're in Vegas.
All right.
That
finally, I did watch the
Scottie
debacle
D.
last weekend that was WrestleMania. It was pretty much terrible top to bottom, but it was an effort. And that brings me back to Vince McMahon. I don't know if you guys are aware, but his XFL league was recently shut down, and it will cease operations in 2021. There will be no more XFL. Over to you, Be Live.
This how we doing things? That's how you gonna finish it off. Yeah. That's all right.
Oh man.
You know what? You're wrong. You're still wrong, but I'm gonna take the higher road. I'm gonna take the higher road. I'm gonna take the higher road because I'm gonna
if you go low, you take it to the flow. No, but go ahead.
Because my third pepper point is on a somber note. So I'm gonna take the high road. I'm not gonna stoop to Scottie D's level when I mention my third, because he almost took me to where I was going to just change my pepper point. But no, I want to pay respects, and where we've spoken about a couple of victims of COVID-19, but this is actually unrelated to COVID-19, but respect to former Minnesota Vikings and Seattle Seahawks quarterback Tarvaris Jackson, who passed away Sunday in a car crash. He was 36 years old, which is too young. A year younger than both Eddy Kool and myself. So it's one of those things where it's tragic, where my prayers go out to his family and everything like that. He was at the time that of his passing, he was a quarterbacks coach at Tennessee State University, and then before that, he was a quarterbacks coach at his alma mater of Alabama State University. So, again, our condolences and prayers go to his family, and but definitely to all families affected and everything that's going on right now. We here at the Sports Bros, we're here with you through and through.
Yep, hear what you're through and through, man. It's always sad to hear that. Our condolences go out to the Towns family as well as the Jackson family. Loss is hard. Loss is tough. Carl Anthony Towns, I have been down that road of losing a mother. It's one of those things you'll never be ready for, and I'm pretty sure Tarvaris Jackson was a husband or a brother or something, or somebody important to something. He was important to someone. So it's just, man, you never know, man. You got to live your life to the fullest. And that about does it for another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. And of course, thank you as always for listening. You can check out the Sports Bros on all of our social media platforms. You can find it right here below in the description box. And as always, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else too. Especially now more than ever. They're greatly appreciated. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast.